Are you familiar with carb cycling? It's a new way to eat, or is it an exercise? Or both? Find out today on The Healthy View. Welcome to The Healthy View. I'm Andrea Beeman, and I'm here with my beautiful and talented co-hosts, Lisa Lutan and Michelle Leota. We are expert health coaches who've collectively helped countless people around the world get happy and healthy while staying sane and having fun. And today we're talking about carb cycling. Now, fair advance warning, prior to this episode, I didn't have any idea what carb cycling was. I actually had to look it up. So here's a definition that I found. The basic principle is that you alter your carb intake based on your varying needs throughout the week, month, or year. The timing and amount of carbs consumed vary depending on the person. Carb cycling is often used among bodybuilders, physique competitors, and high-performing athletes, which is probably why I've never heard of it before, because I'm not a bodybuilder, a physique competitor, or a high-performing athlete. But don't worry, I'm still a pretty fabulous human being. So I'm going to defer to my gorgeous and all-knowing colleagues to get their opinion on this hot topic.
So I have to be honest, I tend to shy away from any eating plan that adds stress because my whole goal with clients is to have less stress in their lives, particularly with food. And anything that makes you track that carefully, like we've had in other episodes, it just makes you a stressed out mess. Now, that being said, if you think about the term carb loading, and I have to say that a lot of the carb loading or carb cycling, what I should say right now, is saying don't eat carbs all day and then eat them at night, which goes against so much that we learned years ago, like eat them in the morning so you have energy. It's so confusing. But the whole carb timing thing has been around for a long time. And if you think about, for years, people said, oh, I'm running a marathon. You know, I'm going to have a big spaghetti dinner the night before. And so it's not really a new concept. It's just a tweaked concept once again. But I will share a story with you. I remember when my son was in high school, and this goes back 6 or 7 years ago, he was a swimmer. And they would have these big team dinners before the swim meets every time. And it would always be like, you know, pasta, garlic bread, and like 50 desserts. And every time I would go there and cringe, and the kids would eat this stuff and they'd feel so sick. And I would say to the other moms, like, maybe we can make it a little bit healthier. And they looked at me like I was crazy. They're like, no, these kids need carbs. These kids need carbs, and they love it so much. And I thought, these kids swim for like a minute. You know? Like these races were so short. They don't need like so much. So it really kind of grossed me out, and I really hope that they've changed since then, but I have a feeling they haven't. So anyway, I think that, again, you have to really experiment, figure out what works for you, and don't stress so much. Eat real food, you know, mostly plants, Michael pollen, and just feel good.
All right, let me come in with some carb cycling throwdown here. I've never mentioned this before, but I have this experiment that I often do with my clients, and so I bet you girls will have an answer to this because you've already done some experimenting with your food. So let's say on day one for breakfast you eat a hard-boiled egg or two and like half of an avocado. Okay, and then you pay attention to how you feel over the course of the morning, how long before you're hungry for lunch, and when the hunger comes on, what's the quality of that hunger? Okay, get that idea in your head. And for all of our listeners who have never done such a thing, do it tomorrow. Get back to me. Okay, that's day one. Day two, have yourself a bowl of oatmeal. Another classic breakfast, right? Nothing we haven't done before. Have yourself a bowl of oatmeal and keep track of the same thing. How do you feel over the course of the morning? How many hours does it keep you full and satisfied? And when hunger comes on, what's the quality of that hunger? Is it like a slow, you know, oh, I might be a little bit hungry now? Or is it like, oh my God, I need food right this second, so hangry? Okay, so pay attention and then compare. So have you girls ever done such a comparison for yourself? And what were your results?
The breakfast experiment. Oh, absolutely. The protein, the fat keep you satisfied so much longer, and the carbs, you're just hungry, you know, an hour later.
Well, it's funny. Yeah. When I was vegan and I used to have like oatmeal, you know, with just nothing on it ever, right? I was always hungry. I was snacking. I find that I would snack throughout the day, but when I would put something else on it, whether it was a little bit of yogurt or cream or something else, or I always felt more satisfied.
Yeah, of course.
Yes, totally. I mean, I think that's just the way it goes.
Yeah, I used to throw eggs in my oatmeal.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, fried eggs and spinach on oatmeal is like to die for.
Now we're mixing our metaphors.
I know.
Okay.
Sorry.
Most people, when they do this experiment, will say, oh my gosh, I can't believe when I had the eggs and the avocado, I felt so full. I didn't even have to eat lunch till 2 o'clock in the afternoon. The hunger just didn't come on in the same way. When I had the oatmeal, even if I put maybe some nuts or some cream in there, it didn't last as long. Okay. So, and I have had a few people say, actually, I did better on the oatmeal. Everybody's different here. But in general, breakfast, you are breaking your fast. You haven't hopefully been eating all night long. If you had a nice good sleep anyway, some people are getting up in the middle of the night. You haven't eaten in a long time, so your blood sugar, boom, first thing in the morning, that carb can really hit you hard and send your blood sugar spiking and falling, which is why you get hangry just in time for that 10 o'clock meeting at work, right? So I think definitely for myself and for most people, we do better with protein and fat and less carbs in the morning. It's just how our bodies work. So with carb cycling, the way it's been explained to me is that you avoid carbohydrates first thing in the morning. I'm not saying you have to go run screaming from that slice of tomato in your omelet, but you would definitely not do the oatmeal. At lunch, maybe you have half a serving of carbohydrates, so like a little bit of sweet potato or something like that. And then for dinner, you would have a whole serving of carbohydrate on your plate. Some sort of whole grain, potato, whatever it is. And the thinking is that carbohydrates actually calm the body. Andrea, I think I've heard you talk about this in the past. Like without carbs, you can get a little bit revved up. Carbs actually calm you down. So if you're going to eat them any time of the day, eat them at night before bed and take advantage of that calming effect. So that's the way that I understand carb cycling. And you know what? I don't think it's a terrible idea.
All right. Carb loading, carb cycling. I'm confused still because I like to mix the whole thing together, all of them. Like I like to have a nice mix of everything. So like, for example, when I take a long hike, right, I like to eat a sandwich when I get to the top of the mountain, right, or after I finish. But is it carb cycling or is that carb convenience, right? Because sandwiches are actually easy to carry, but it's not just carbs. There's usually some protein in the bread. I do remember when I was younger and struggling with my weight, I would take carbs out and I would always drop a few pounds. But it always came back as soon as I put the carbs back in because I usually binged on the other side of the carb reduction. And I think personally it was because of an energy dip, right? So carbs will feed the mitochondria, they'll give them the glucose and you get your cells going. And I mean, I try to stay away from a lot of the dieting stuff and just eat food in general. So unless like you're really super disciplined and seeking a specific body look, like a bodybuilder, I would personally not get trapped in any kind of odd restrictive dieting behavior because I think in the long term, it could be damaging. Like you won't know what to eat. You'll get confused. Do I eat a carb now? Do I eat a not carb? When do I have a protein? I think it kind of confuses people, but it works for like those bodybuilders because there are times when they don't want carbs because the carb will actually help them retain water and it'll fill them out more and they don't want to get filled out more. They want to be more lean like protein.
I mean, we all got pretty great physiques. I don't think we need anything special.
Oh, I love you guys. Thank you all for joining us today. We are so happy to have you out there listening to our podcast, and we'd love to know what you hear about it. So maybe stop by to iTunes, leave us a review if you feel so inclined, spread the word. We're also happy to drop you a quick email each week and let you know about our episodes being released. If you'd like to sign up, go to healthyviewshow.com. Thanks for joining us. Bye-bye.